Hey folks, I'm at Grangewood Park in South Norwood today for this walk and talk, and the guide for the walk is very much a printed guide that Stephen Oxford put together from the Norwood Society. So we're literally going to follow the guide that I'll put a link in below that you can download and follow it yourself. We're going to walk all around this estate, and I'm going to basically read from his notes to tell you the story as we go around. So let's get on our way and explore Grangewood Park. So the first exhibit, number one on this walk, is Wharncliffe Lodge. Now we're actually at the junction of Wharncliffe Road and Grange Road. This lodge was built in 1861 and it was the original entrance from Decimus Burton Road at its junction with Wharncliffe Road to the grounds of Charles Hood's property called Grangewood. It's probable that the present gates were installed by Croydon Council when they took over the estate after 1900, as all three sets of gates around the park match in style. Those with the southern and probably eastern entrances did not exist when Hood occupied the estate. We're going to make our way along this lovely autumnal view now to the next stop, which is the site of the stables. I've got Graham with me today. If you hear the odd voice in the background, but that's a electricity substation there. But really nice as the sun comes through the trees there. I was hoping for a day such as today to show this off. Got some lovely spots in Croydon if you know where to look. So Grangewood, now known as Grangewood Park, was originally part of the Great Northwood, a large expanse of woodland stretching from Honor Oak in the north to Selhurst in the south. Its name is derived from being north of the Downs. This section was bought by John Cater Esquire in 1787 and enclosed by him in 1797. At that time it was known as White Horse Wood. The name White House Wood appears on numerous maps from as early as Rock's map 1745. Decimus Burton Road was laid out as an access route from Thornton Heath to the Beulah Spa grounds, passing along the edge of Grangewood, and that's now known as Grange Road. What a lovely scene. So this was the stables area. Nothing to see here now. I mean, this gate is open, I'll just pop inside. As you can see, completely overgrown. Horse-drawn carriages would approach Hood's mansion southwards along the drive from the northern entrance gates where we came in and deposit their occupants at the turning points at the rear of Grangewood House. They would then turn around before taking the right-hand fork to the extensive stable area some way north of the house, which is this general area ahead of me now. So it's currently fenced off, stables demolished, and the area was enclosed by Croydon Council when they took over the woodland. Originally it consisted of 4 stalls, 3 large loose boxes, harness room, coach house for 6 carriages, 5 living rooms above, and a fitted laundry. And towards the end of World War II, a V2 rocket fell 50 metres to the west of the park and felled many trees and caused damage to the stables and the house. There's some machinery being used today that's causing quite a bit of noise. I hope that it won't be too obvious on the sound here, but I'm calling it out now, but I'll do my best to edit it out when I'm putting the video together. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm sure you'll still hear me. So context, we came in through the path straight ahead over there, and that we believe was a stable area, and there's a kind of wooded area. I think there's some swings and stuff up there, and next we think it's always good having 2 heads, better than one. We think we're going up here. I think that may be a leaf blower that's causing the noise. Anyway, don't dwell on it, Philip. So we're going to follow this path to get to the greenhouses, or site thereof. Look at those lovely colours. Wonderful. I remember when leaves used to be raked up with a rake. So this, I believe, is the greenhouses area. The greenhouses, only one wall remaining, which has to be that wall. So this area contained a kitchen garden, a vinery, orchard, vegetable garden, 2 forcing pits, as in forcing rhubarb, together with a small farm used to grow produce for Mr. Hood's household kitchen. There were several other buildings located nearby which no longer exist, so easier to again put the map reference up, but you can still see the remaining piece with some modern decorative art on there. And this was generally the sort of kitchen garden vegetable plot. Not sure how old those railings are. Probably not that old. Still a nice little enclosed area. There's some mosaic tiles here. Like many areas in Croydon and beyond, there's a friends group that cover Grangewood Park, and great that they have these groups to keep everything going and promoting activities and events and the like. Just see some tennis courts through there. So these are eastern gates, but they're the same design, no doubt installed at the same time and after the original owner, Hood, but probably soon after Croydon Corporation took it over in 1900. So this is a junction here. We've got Ross Road, Wharncliffe Road, Canham Road, and some wonderful Victorian architecture. Nice house on the corner there, 2 or 3 houses actually. Imposing grand design, and because we can't actually see easily from here, you can just imagine the views they have over the local area. And looking back on the entrance to the park, and leaves, trees, blue sky. And we're coming up to Kilravock House. Just try and let the sun get behind the house, or the house in front of the sun, you know what I mean. The story here, this is just outside the eastern point of the park, and the imposing and refurbished Kilravock House, built just after Grangewood House by Thomas Ross in 1863. And he acquired a number of plots just outside the park and had Ross Road constructed as an access road from Beggars Hill, now South Norwood Hill, constructed to serve his house. He died in 1868, leaving a will dictated on his deathbed, which left his estate in chaos for the next 30 years. It's possible that Kilravock was the model for Pondicherry Lodge in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Sign of Four, which he wrote in Eyeshot in Tennyson Road. The house that Conan Doyle lived at in Tennyson Road has one of the blue plaques, and I pass it every time I go to see Crystal Palace play football. So I'm going to make a link between Kilravock House and my football watching experience for about the last 50 years. Ever since I've been going to Crystal Palace, standing on the Holmesdale Terrace, now I have a seat in the upper tier of the Holmesdale Road stand, this house has always taken my eye. The big house on the top of the hill. And I've never really bothered to go up here and explore it until today. But I'm delighted that I have, and it must afford the most wonderful views. If we got the view from the ground looking up to the house, then you can see everything and all around it. And obviously you can see the line of Grangewood Park that we're visiting today. But it must be also impressive to look back on the ground. I'll have a little look around to see if I can get any views, but if I can't, I can't. But it's just nice to make that connection between what I've looked up at for 50 years and now I'm actually there and considering its general surroundings and its story. Right, so I'm going to do the best I can zooming in. So this is the standard zoom, and if I go 8 times, you can get a feel for the sort of views that are commanded from Kilravock House. Pretty impressive, I would imagine, at the top of the building. So we have got a couple of options here for the path. There's a kind of low, easy, I suppose, accessible path, and then we're going to take the steps back up towards the tennis courts. Gentlemen hard at work. It'll be a bit of a battle for the coming weeks because predominantly an oak park and lots of leaves still attached. So we're going to sort of go back towards the tennis courts and then on to the bowling green. Some tennis going on here. So Croydon Council, after purchasing the estate, there were 5 tennis courts established according to a 1932 OS map. These are a more modern version, and 3 of these occupy the position of the present bowling green, which is the next bit. It's just sort of over there, just straight ahead. So we're going to walk around the corner. Bit of context, that's the wall from the kitchen garden in there. There's also a playground area for kids, for swings and all that sort of stuff. This is the bowling green area. Original bowling green was southwest of the present one and somewhat smaller. The Grangewood Bowling Club was founded in 1926. This original clubhouse burnt down probably in the 1950s, and the new green and brick built clubhouse was established where they stand today. And this was kind of connected to the tennis courts that I'm just going to pan around. That's the tennis courts there. And we've just come from Kilravock House area on the other side. Now, if you're wondering why haven't we pointed out where the house was yet, it's because we're following the route as intended from the Norwood Society paper. And it's like a big build-up. There's a kind of, I guess, a reveal at the end. So we'll get to it. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Another view of the bowling green. Close season and all that. I'm going to still at the higher parts of the park, and we're going to take this path to the site of Ross Lodge. There we go, some information there, should you be interested in joining. Take a screenshot, and we carry along here. The map did say that we can walk along the other side of the bowling green, but it seems to be fenced off. So then we've got a basketball court here. And I believe this is cage football next to it. I'm no expert on these things, other than seeing some of the stories of the Palace players and how they grew up in South London playing cage football. But I guess this area would be the goals either end. And this is the pitch. If I'm wildly off, let me know, but I think I might be quite close. There is a sign on the other side. I just want to see what that sign says at the end. See if I can prove my theory. I think there's some logic to it, isn't it? They look like goals. Well, ball court, free to use. 8 AM till dusk, occasionally pre-booked for activities. And there are no markings on here as such. But yeah, maybe it's multi-purpose, but I would argue you could play football here. And there's a sort of gym area there, you can do some workout stuff. Oh, this is very nice. Very nice indeed. A lovely set of mature oak trees. Catch up with Graham. Graham's like the advanced party. he finds things out. I send him off on these errands and he finds locations and markers, and then it all looks smooth when I come up to show you the video. Smoke and mirrors filmmaking. So we've got Ross Road there, and it said opposite number 180 approximately, so that's about there. And again, easier to show you on the map that came with the walk. In there somewhere was Ross Lodge. It was located opposite number 180, appears to have been quite substantial, being composed of 2 adjoining buildings. Its purpose remains unclear, as the approach from Ross Road would have been too steep for a horse and carriage, but it may have served as accommodation for estate workers. So, well, I guess, I mean, the road is fairly steep, and then you're coming up here, the slope and in. So yeah, possibly so. It was short-lived and was gone by 1911. It has been suggested that its demise was the result of subsidence due to location near to the eastern boundary, whereas there is a steep bank sloping down towards Ross Road. So there we go. Nothing to see there. I'm not going to go there prodding and poking, but it wasn't perhaps the best place to build it. Not very practical, and geologically, if that's the word, wasn't on structurally safe ground. Little few different, some beech trees there, I think. Lovely getting the leaves still on the trees, changing colour, blue sky behind, wonderful. So we're now heading south towards Heath Lodge, which is a slightly different story because it was never part of Hood's estate, but it's another sort of entrance. Actually, I've got a view here that I'm going to go through and zoom a bit on. I find that we're both continually looking around to see if we can find some good angles to sort of position this in a good context. So let's see what I can pick out here on the zoomed lens. So this will be part of the view that Kilravock House would have gained as well, or still does to this day. We start off with the main view, and then if we go in on a much bigger zoom, you can see the views will be quite something of the modern Croydon skyline. There we go. On a beautiful day. Hope you're enjoying it so far. This little picture of well, it comes under Croydon. Also, people might refer to it as Thornton Heath or Upper Norwood, but I think generally most addresses that I looked up before as part of my research show it as South Norwood, so I'll call it South Norwood. But it's, I suppose in many ways it does border all of those general areas. Well worth the trip. Graham pointed out that there indeed is the Homesdale Road stand of Selhurst Park, home of Crystal Palace Football Club. This angle doesn't allow me to see my particular seat. I'm a little bit further to the left behind those 2 chimneys on the left. But yeah, it just seems a bit closer than I expected. And there we go, Selhurst Park as viewed from Grangewood Park, and the reverse can also be shown here. And you see we've got the same style gates again here. Ross Road over here on this side, and then Grange Road over here with slightly older style house. And this has a slightly different story. So the southern lodge, known as Heath Lodge, was never part of Hood's estate. So that's the building we got up here on the left. Even the triangle of land in which it stands was outside of the estate. Charles Hood died in 1889, but had probably moved away at some point following the death of his wife, Catherine, in 1876. The house remained unoccupied for several years after his death, until the whole estate was bought by Croydon Council. And when Croydon Council bought it, they bought this triangle of land here. And this Heath Lodge was built to house the park keeper sometime between 1900 and 1911. It's included in the Ward 1932 street directory as Thornton Heath Lodge, occupied by a Mr. H. Webster. So we're going to kind of go back up the main entrance here and make our way towards, well, the site of the pond, and then end it towards the house itself. We came in from the south pathway up there, and there kind of are two routes. There's a kind of central one that goes up like the spine, and then we followed it round to these railings here, which we think is the site of the pond. There are some railings on the picture that's in the leaflet. Pond being created for Hood and his wife Catherine south-southwest of the house as an ornamental feature, and was still present just before World War II. Very small, less than 50 metres long and little more than 10 metres wide, and tailed off to a point at its southern end after passing under a rustic bridge. The location chosen for it is odd, being on a small shelf of land just above a steep slope down to Grange Road, but possibly it was just visible from Grangewood House. However, at some point it was infilled by Croydon Council circa 1960. We think it was in there somewhere. And the next location to highlight is where the bandstand was. So I think we're going to be climbing again to find that. But look at this, how beautiful. It's nice that the pathways are broadly tarmac and broad, but so you can easily stay and push a chair or whatever. And you've got some open land in the middle to run around and get some air in your lungs. Marvellous. Heading back up to the activity area. Come on, squirrel. Get on YouTube. No, he's hiding. Anyway, that was a squirrel. And there is up here an information board, first one we've seen in this particular walk. So it's a wider area board, the Great Norwood. And down we've got a little bit about Grangewood Park itself there. The Great Norwood. A couple of websites. Good. So the bowling green is just up there, and it said west of the southern tip or south west of the bowling green is where the bandstand was. So it's going to be in this area somewhere, isn't it? Yeah, just up here. So a number of paths converge here, and we think that this general area was where the bandstand was, built by Croydon Council just west of the southern end of the bowling green, which is sort of straight ahead, middle of the picture. It was still evident after the war and fell into disuse as tastes in entertainment changed, and it was demolished circa 1960. Maybe the same team that demolished it filled in the pond. Who knows? But that's where we're at. So this was the site of the bandstand, and actually, as I say, paths converging would have made sense that it was around about here, where you would all kind of come from whatever entrance and be entertained by the band back in the day. Some pampas grass there in the middle, and a very nice looking evergreen. And we are making our way towards the site of the actual house, Grangewood House. So this, folks, is the complete boundary of Grangewood House. now providing formal gardens. And I absolutely love what they've done here. Because rather than just pointing at a field or some overgrown land or whatever to say there used to be this marvellous house there, they've actually marked it with these brick walls all the way around. So you get an idea. We've already been round the whole grounds, as it were, the whole park, but you get an idea of the size and scale of the property. Absolutely wonderful. A really tasteful, respectful way of having a link to history. Amazing. The house was built for Charles Hood on land within Grangewood, near the southern end of the Norwood Spur, at an elevation of 92 metres, so as to ensure commanding views to the south and southwest from the front of the house. Hood commissioned the building of Grangewood House in 1861, where he moved with his wife the following year. The house was a grand, detached, Italianate Victorian villa. Hood had the trees in front of the house cleared and the area landscaped to open up the view. The house was on 2 floors with a basement and consisted of first floor 10 bedrooms, bathroom, box room, plate room, housemaid's room, linen closet, principal and secondary staircases, ground floor, portico and entrance hall, drawing room, 2 bays, dining room with 3 French casements and veranda, library, conservatory, breakfast room, cloakroom, butler's pantry, housekeeper's room and offices. In the basement there was extensive dry cellarage and storage. Grangewood was damaged during the war and basically left by the council to deteriorate, and it was pulled down in 1957. But it's just wonderful that they've kind of marked it by having some formal-ish gardens. Maybe they look a bit different in the summer, we're kind of in the autumn time now. But how beautiful that they've actually set out the actual shape of the house and the bays of the windows to how it would have been when it was here. Wonderful. Grangewood House. Interesting the way the walk was designed to sort of loop around the house. A wonderful tree there, isn't it? To loop around the house and then end up at the house. So if you sit on one of those benches, you're sitting inside what was Grangewood House. Look at that. It's that sweet spot where leaves on the trees, changing colour, haven't quite hit the ground yet. And this would have been the grand porticoed entrance. Walking into the house, we probably wouldn't have gone down to the basement. And now we're inside. Very thoughtful when they did this. As I say, they could have just flattened it and moved on. They decided they wanted to do something to respect what was here before. Excellent. So, Grangewood Park. Hope you enjoyed it. Wonderful place to visit. Any links that I've referred to are all in the description below. If you like the video, please hit like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit subscribe. And if you'd like to support what I do for less than half the price of a frothy coffee per month, hit join. You'll be able to join as a member, and I'd really appreciate that. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.